Dr. Nicholas Reeves.
Thank you. Let me start with a model. The tomb of Tutankhamun, the tomb that keeps on giving, we hope. Here we see a model of the tomb of Tutankhamun with the layout, and you see there are 4 main chambers with an entrance corridor. Nobody's ever been able to understand really the ground plan of this. This is not a typical Egyptian royal tomb by any means. It's a very small entrance, and the layout of the rooms makes no sense. So people have suggested that this was perhaps a private tomb that was adapted, made bigger to accommodate Tutankhamun's burial treasures because he died young, unexpectedly. There'd been no time to prepare burial equipment for him and no time to make him a proper tomb. And what's interesting is that the name we find underneath Tutankhamun's name is the name of somebody called Neferneferu Arten, who we now know was the co-regent, the junior pharaoh to the pharaoh Akhenaten. Nobody knew who this person was, Neferneferu Arten. There's been a lot of work done recently, though, which indicates pretty certainly that Neferneferu Arten was in fact Nefertiti herself. Queen Nefertiti, Akhenaten's wife, didn't die before her husband. She disappears, that's for sure. But she disappears, it now seems, because she changed her name. The tomb of Tutankhamun is in fact merely a tomb within a tomb. That in fact the mother tomb, the actual owner of this burial in the first place, is buried here. I've suggested it's a queen's tomb. If we look at the wall painting here, which is on the north wall, which is the original, we can demonstrate is earlier than the other 3 walls, identifies the occupant of this part of the tomb. The facial features of the figures shown are those of the infant child Tutankhamun opening the mouth of a dead pharaoh with the facial features of Nefertiti herself. We're now in the burial chamber of Tutankhamun's tomb. You see that the chamber has got 4 decorated walls, and within the shrines of Tutankhamun. This is the north wall, which is of interest to me, and this is the west wall here. But this is a particularly interesting one, the north wall, especially this end of it. What we see in the surface scans is around the line of this staff held by the king, we see a strict vertical here, which finishes at the top with a strange diagonal crack, which what makes this even more interesting is that the Getty Conservation Institute have been working in the tomb of Tutankhamun for a long time. They've been analysing, they've been doing analyses of the paint and the paint layers, and they've done cross sections of the paint layers. And what they've discovered is that this wall, the north wall, which I suggest is the older wall, is quite different in its preparation from the other walls. This was here first. When this was the first, at one stage, the first and the only decoration within this chamber. And the original, what they've discovered is that the background, we see it here in Tutankhamun mode, the background, the original colour of the background was white. It's now yellow. Why is it yellow? Well, because subsequently this wall was incorporated within a development of the use of this chamber. So from it being just a chamber before blocking off the entrance to the burial of the original owner, what they did was they didn't repaint the entire wall, they simply painted around the figures in yellow. So all the white was concealed in yellow. Then they added these other three paintings on a yellow background from the very beginning. Why yellow? Well, in Egyptian terminology, this is known as the House of Gold. This is the burial chamber of the dead pharaoh. So they look here at this. This gives a good example of the combination of the kingly and the queenly. The top part is that of a king, is the iconography of a king wearing the Nemes headcloth and everything. But from the waist down, the design is that of a queen, this so-called rishi pattern, this feathered pattern. So this particular, a lot of the Tutankhamun stuff was adapted for Tutankhamun as for Pharaoh. But the more complicated pieces like this, because of the extent of the inlays, and the little canopic coffinets, which will be around somewhere, they were all inlaid. And so very, very difficult and time-consuming to alter the design. So they skimped on this. Whereas with pieces like this, where it's a coffin of wood with a layer of plaster, which is then gilded, they were able to impose a fully royal, fully kingly iconography with these second set of wings on the lower part of alabaster on a wooden sled and gilded at the bottom. The features in the originals of the stoppers are not those of Tutankhamun at all. It's a different face. It's the same face that you get on the second coffin, which we've suggested was a piece originally made for Nefertiti as co-regent. These are the canopic coffinets that actually sit inside those tubular hollows, and on the inside these canopic coffinets are inscribed. You'll notice from the outside that the design is identical to the second coffin. The top part is royal, is that of a king. The lower part is that of a queen with the simple feathered rishi style.